I think sometimes educators forget that because there's so many things on their plate now.
Mm,
Sometimes you just can't look at a kid and tell by their facial expression or their behavior how much they need you. We've got to remember that they all need us. And
hmm
we've got to make sure we maintain that focus and not try to have an opinion about what a particular, just because they look happy, they might be struggling with an issue. I think
Yeah.
you got to maintain consistent focus and remember this is a kid first business.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Brighter Together podcast. My name is Janet Courtney, and my special guest today is Greg McElwee. Greg is the Senior Director at the Northwest Georgia Regional Education Service Agency, which is in Rome, Georgia. Greg, thank you for coming to the show. I'm glad that you're here.
Thanks so much for inviting me, Janet.
So tell us a little bit, Greg, about your journey and a little bit about what's happening at Northwest Georgia RESA. I know it's RESA now, I've learned.
Yeah. Yeah, anybody around the state of Georgia will automatically recognize that, and I understand you guys being national, but RESA, what we do in under our umbrellas, we do several things. We work with schools on school improvement, professional development. We help maintain teacher certification hours. We offer all types of professional learning. We have a data warehouse here where we will take individual school districts' data, analyze it for them, help them with strategic planning. So we have a lot of different things that go up under our RESA umbrella. It's not just one thing. We have multiple departments that fall within our.
So how did you become you're the senior director, so you're the
Mhm.
boss of everybody, right?
Well, I have a much like everybody else in this world, be it a spouse or at work, we all have a boss, and I
Yeah.
have a boss, and we have an executive director.
Okay.
He is a retired superintendent from Paulding County. Wonderful, wonderful to work for. He's employed as a 49% executive director as he retired as a superintendent and but I would say being senior director, I started out when I first came to work here, it was as a GNES director. And as we know, acronyms are what they are. That's the Georgia Network for Educational Services and Therapeutic Support. It
Okay.
works with high intensity, emotional, behaviorally disturbed students. So
Okay.
that's another thing that falls up under our RESA umbrella.
Oh.
And through time, I absorbed human resources, and then I started working closely with finance and certification, and I kind of I've been around a while here. This is my 14th year at RESA.
Mm. Wow.
I feel like Dr. Otot, just out of longevity, uh, gave me that title. Yeah, because I kind of had my fingers in everything that was going
Everything.
on
Yeah.
anyway. So,
Yeah. That's
but my
that's
journey started out as a self-contained EBD teacher and
EBD is
emotional
emotionally
behavior, yeah, emotional behavior disorder student.
yeah. Just want to make sure. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And I did that and then went through in another school district that's actually still in our RESA catchment area. I started there teaching, taught, did a little coaching, and then moved into an administrative role in their special education department, and then transferred to the special education area here at RESA. Then went back to that same school district and served as a principal for a number of years as an elementary school. Probably one of the best jobs I ever had, elementary school principal. It's like being a rock star. The kids
Yeah.
act
The kids love you.
love
Yeah.
you. Yeah. By the time they get middle high school, you're not that cool anymore. But at elementary
Exactly.
school, it's great.
Yeah, love that. I always thought that the principals at elementary schools, the kids just love other
Oh
than
yeah.
the ones that are maybe naughty one day, they can be intimidated, but it's a great job. It's a great
Yeah.
job. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only three elementary kids that came through my building that weren't real thrilled about me being principal were my three daughters.
That's awesome. I love that.
But I didn't find out until after I'd left that they actually enjoyed it, because when I left to take the job to come back up here to take one of the director positions, uh, the first day that they came home from school, they were in the fourth and the fifth grade respectively, and they told me, they said, "We were just regular kids today, Dad. Thanks."
Funny.
Yeah. I
Oh, are
think
they
they still
grown?
hold a grudge a little bit about that, and they're in their 20s now,
Yeah, I
so
was gonna say they're grown now, aren't they?
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
You and I probably aren't that far away in age, I bet,
No,
so
we're not. We don't when you disclose that, I thought, "Yeah, we're same peer group," so
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I'm fighting it with all I got, Greg, I really am. I'm
oh,
like,
yeah, I'm trying
everything
to
I
hang on.
I
You ask about the career path, though, and
yeah,
the unique thing is I'm going into year 27,
yeah,
and, 30 in Georgia, you can retire, and I've got some sick leave, so I I'm
getting
not
there.
planning on going anywhere
Yeah,
because I just enjoy the people I work with. But I say all that to say, 27 years, I've basically had 2 employers. I've either worked for this RISA or I worked for the school system where I grew up.
with within that same recess
Within the
still.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
wow, in 27
Well,
years, that's
I've been
amazing.
very fortunate, very
Yeah.
blessed.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. It is a blessing when you love your work and you love what you do. It's not work. It's not
No,
work.
and the people that I work with are what make the biggest
Mhm.
difference here at RISA.
Mhm.
It's very much a family. We've all been here together for a while. We've been through the good and the bad, and I mean, it's one of those jobs and you really don't even have to set an alarm clock. You just wake up, you're ready to go to work.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, when you love what you do, I'll tell you, that's me. I love what I do every single day. Every single day is a little bit different, a little bit. And I love this because I get to talk to the most amazing people all across the country who are fighting the fight for education and for our kids, and that's the best, the absolute best. So tell me, like, a little bit about what do you see as the strengths of education today and what you guys are doing? And what are maybe some of the pitfalls that schools should think about to try to avoid?
Well, probably one of the biggest thing, and this is a big bill. There are tons of bills in Georgia in our current legislative session,
Yeah.
and many of them, the real focus in Georgia right now is early childhood literacy, safety, and teacher retention.
Yeah.
I would dare say that's probably a national problem.
Mhm.
Uh, you don't see many people, be it education or any other field, this younger generation doesn't come in and do the same job for 30 years. And so teacher retention is a huge thing in Georgia. And we've got several bills in Atlanta that are being processed to try to help with that. We've got numerous things being done by Brian Kemp is our current governor, and he's been two-term governor, been extremely, extremely supportive of public education and teachers
Love
throughout
that.
his term. And one of his big things has been the safety. He's been giving safety grants and safety dollars, earmarking things so that people can put in systems to enhance the safety of the buildings. Because we all know, and I go back from when I started in education, having a code or a card just to scan or get in a building, that was unheard of when I
Yeah.
started. I mean, people were coming inside doors and campuses were not at all secure. We know how times have changed. So
Yeah.
I think the pitfall there is for years, we wanted education to not feel institutional in our buildings. But because of safety concerns, I feel like it's become a situation where it kind of borders on that in a to some degree because you have to maintain that safe environment or the rest of
Mhm.
it's irrelevant.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing worse than seeing a school shooting and Uvalde in Texas. I'm in Texas, and it just breaks your heart, and it's oh, I can't even talk about it. We need to not talk about it because
Yeah.
it just makes me wanna cry. But
Well,
it's sad that that's what we have to do. It's really sad that what we have to do.
I get back to my time as a building principal. I mean, although it wasn't that long ago, in terms of current events, it was a long time ago
Yeah,
because
right.
we tried
Yeah,
to maintain campus safety, but the thought of that happening was just, you're like, it's not going to happen in
no,
Cedartown, Georgia.
right,
That's something that happens somewhere else. It's not something I'm going to have to deal with.
right, right. But that's not the reality that we know
No,
now.
no,
Yeah, you
no,
never know.
absolutely not. No.
You never know. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Oh, yeah.
That's another thing we do here at RISA. We run basically a safety job alike consortium, and we have our regional GEMA person come in and does presentations, and we coordinate activities. We allow, like, a lot of our districts have their own police officers that they
Mhm.
employ in their district. And so a lot of those people will come, and it just gives them an opportunity to come together, share ideas, they'll coordinate, just because it's difficult for those guys in the education world to have a peer group to talk to because
Right.
it's such a different environment.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder I'll have to talk to I have a friend that's a Corpus Christi Police Department police officer, good friend, really good friend. Actually, I had dinner with him last night and his wife, and I'll have to ask him about that because I'm sure that Corpus Christi has something similar, and I don't know how that works here. I'm just, out of curiosity because I remember, when the last time I was in a brick and mortar. Now, I've been doing teletherapy since 2011, but we at the middle school and the high school, because I was mostly at the middle school and the high school, we always had police presence. And it was just a part of it. It was just the life that you had and how you lived, but it was all about keeping the kids safe. We wanna keep the kids
oh,
safe. Yeah,
100%. And
yeah.
I mean, they now have in my former district, actually in the building where I was, but they have an assigned resource officer to that
Mhm.
building. That was unheard of I mean,
Yeah,
when I was there, they had a resource officer at the high schools in our
yeah,
district, and that was
yeah.
pretty much it.
Older
Yeah,
kids, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Adults, some of those kids get real big real fast about ninth grade, 10th grade.
yeah.
I remember my brother, he's passed away now, but he was 6'1" in 6th grade. And he
Oh,
grew to 6'7". He was
oh
football
wow.
player and big guy, big guy. But he just and they joked around about, he was a man in he was a child in a man's body for a while, because he
Mhm.
just grew so incredibly fast. So but anyway, okay, so you have a lot. I want to touch on this because I love special education. I'm a speech therapist, it's such a huge part of what I do. How did when you got into this position, into RISA, coming from a special education background instead of coming from a gen ed background, how did that influence what you did, or how did it have an influence on how you did your job or what you thought about when you were working with the kids or
Well,
training?
obviously coming from just one building and then moving into this role that served multiple districts, it allowed me two things. One, I could go in and offer some help in areas where they might, people that didn't have a sped background. Maybe they were
Right.
having a problem making their master schedule work. I could provide some assistance there. Having worn both hats, and it helped. And it's funny because I mean, as talking to as many people, educators now, they're strange birds sometimes. So, and they're very territorial. But having
Mhm.
been a principal, it I could go in and say, well, when I was in your shoes, this was how we handled these type situations. But I could also look at that sped teacher that was in that building, and they didn't think, oh, this is just some other admin guy coming in trying to tell me how to do it. So it really gave me, I guess, what you would call street credit on
Yeah.
both sides of the table.
Are you struggling to keep speech therapy fully staffed or tired of high turnover? You're not alone. At Lighthouse Therapy, our speech language pathologists are seasoned professionals, and most of them have over 16 years of school based experience. They're not just qualified, they're consistent, relational, and results driven. We offer 3 flexible delivery models: virtual therapy, hybrid therapy, and in person therapy. It's speech therapy done right for you and your students. Learn more at lighthouse-therapy.com/brighter together. Yeah, absolutely. Because you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it matters. It really matters. It matters because you guys are making recommendations. And if they don't feel like you have, you have the experience or no, it's harder for them to believe what you're saying or to implement what you're saying, if they don't trust you. But it sounds like you guys are doing an amazing job.
Well,
So,
and it helped too. I became very active with our GCASE board, and
mm,
GCASE being the Georgia Council and Administrators of Special Education Services. I actually was president of GCASE in 2018 for the for our statewide organization. And that allowed me to have some experiences around the nation by going to various case
Oh,
conferences,
yeah. Mhm.
state conferences. So
Yeah.
then I could come back to our area and say, well, they've got these kind of special things going on in Utah or, you know, Oregon, just some different perspective and being able to have contacts in those areas. Like if I'd have a person in Arisa reach out and I say, well, I actually have a person in Tennessee. Let me make a phone
Mhm.
call. So,
Mhm.
GCASE has been a wonderful experience for me. I've been on that executive board for a while, and then going through their presidential rotation was also something that I'm really proud of and glad that I got to experience.
Yeah. We Lighthouse Therapy was at GCASE, both the fall and the spring. I think we just, did a present did had a booth. It was fun. We had a good time. We had a really
Well,
good.
and I think that's how you and I ended up getting connected
Yeah.
was because I stopped and talked to an old friend, John Higby,
Yep. Yep.
while he was at GCASE, and
Yep.
I
Yep.
think that was when the
Absolutely.
ball started rolling towards this
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's so fun because there are so many amazing things that that you get when you get to talk to people and you get to network and just be able to have those, because we're all working towards it. We're all working towards helping the schools, helping the kids, helping the therapists, helping the teachers, all of it. It's amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
And I
that's
love
one
the
big
fact that you
team.
are so involved.
It's one big team,
Yep.
uh,
Mhm.
and I think when you have, I feel like my job as a leader sometimes when I do touch so many different pockets of the work is to make sure that everybody still remembers we are all, nobody's trying to take anything, but we're all on the same
Very
team,
good.
and the
Yeah.
goal is always going to be the same. It's always going to be about kids.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And that's, it's even for us, our mission. And I always tell people it's like I've got two customers, I've got the schools that we work for, and that we contract with is one customer. And the other customer is the therapist, then the special education teachers that we hire. But both of those, the reason that both of those are involved is because we come together for those kids. For the betterment, our mission is to be a therapy company run by therapists for therapists for the betterment of students. It always, and the great thing, George, is when we talk about success here, it's how many children have we served?
Hmm.
How many lives have we touched? When you're a servant, and I think that's the thing about education and about teachers is we have a servant heart, right? We've
Oh,
been
for sure.
given that gift of being a servant, and serving others is just it's a part of your DNA. It really is, I think.
Well, and I feel like, and especially when it comes to special education and working with exceptional students, it's almost like a calling. And
Mhm.
and you'll know pretty quickly whether this is the world you belong in or not.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I tell people, I was like, I'm people call me an entrepreneur. People call me a CEO. People call me a business owner. I call myself a speech language pathologist first and foremost,
Well, I noticed you led with that.
Yep, because it's just who I am, even though I don't get to see kids face to face every single day anymore like I used to. And God made it clear to me, you could serve 55 kids as a speech pathologist. As the CEO and owner, you get to serve 3,600. What do you think is the right way to go, Janet? I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, I
yeah.
get it. Yeah. But it was hard for me to step away from the classroom. I'm sure it probably was hard for you too. It's a
Oh,
transition when you go into administration for sure.
oh, for sure. I mean, and I tell this story sometimes. Probably, I was when I was in the classroom, and then even when I was still like, wasn't like a director position, but it was a coordinator type position when I was at central office. I still say, when I got my first principal's job, the loneliest experience you'll ever have as a principal is when you are a social person and the first day of teacher planning and everybody goes to lunch. Because guess who's
Mm,
not getting invited to lunch? Nobody
mm.
wants to go with the principal. So you just, it was, it was kind of like that first, kind of aha Gestaltian kind of,
Yeah.
I was
Mm,
like, yeah, I have to fend for myself now.
yeah. But that's when other organizations become important too, because you do network with other people that are doing the same thing you are, and you've got to have them. You've got to have people around you that are fighting the same battle that you are and talk. And I think that's why this platform that I've created here is so important because people need to know that there are so many other people out there that are struggling with the exact same things.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter if you're in Georgia or in Washington or New York or California or Hawaii for that matter. It's all they're Alaska. They're all kids and they all need us and they all need to know that somebody cares about them and that we want what's best for them. And if you look at the media, they make it sound like we're out there doing the worst things possible to every single child we can get our hands on. And
Oh, yeah.
it's maddening. And that's why, it's like it's good to hear and it's good to know that you care and there are so many people that care. So Greg, where do people go if they want to learn a little bit more about Northwest Georgia RISA and you?
We actually have a very, very interactive website they can visit, and it's www.nwgarisa.com. There's tons of information. You can see a lot of the different things that we do. You can go through our course catalog and look, and actually some of our trainings are virtual. That people,
Nice.
so they could go through that course catalog and look and just kind of see the different things that we're offering in this area. And we do needs assessments with our
Hmm.
districts and work closely with our superintendents. Our board is actually made up of the superintendents that are in our catchment area.
Nice.
And then we have
Nice.
some of the technical colleges and universities and the regional library rep. So that's where that's the basis of our board of control. So that's
Hmm.
in theory, that's who Dr. Otod is the main person that works directly with our board, much like a superintendent and board setup. Dr. Otod serves as our superintendent, and then we serve up under him at the will of the board. But we work closely with the board to kind of determine, and the needs in one county may be different than the needs
Yeah,
in
of
another.
course.
And we
Yeah.
try to do a good job of finding a good balance and serving because we actually have a couple of very large districts in ours, and then we have a couple of districts that hover around that 1,500 student mark.
I've talked to superintendents and directors and um, special educators in schools of 200, like K-12 200, all the way up to thousands, because it's all the same. But they all have different needs. They all have different, but it's still education. So
We are
I always tell,
definitely in the kid business.
yeah, we are taking care of the kids. We are growing the next generation. It is so critical what we do. So,
And I
well,
think sometimes educators forget that because there's so many things on their plate now. Sometimes you
mm-hmm,
just can't look at a kid and tell by their facial expression or their behavior how much they need you. We've
mm-hmm,
got to remember that they all need us.
mm-hmm,
And so we've got to make sure we maintain that focus and not try to have an opinion about what a particular, just because they look happy, they might be struggling with an issue. I think
yeah.
you got to maintain consistent focus and remember this is a kid first business.
Yeah, and you never know when that one
No,
touch, that one word is gonna change somebody's day, somebody's life, somebody's whatever, you gotta and it's important. It's just so important. And we won't know. This side of heaven, we won't know until
no.
we get up to heaven and be with Jesus. That's my opinion. I'm like,
One of my
I'm
favorite things is to run into, because the kids that I had when they were in elementary, they're all grown and
grown up. Yeah.
many of them are parents now and things that
Yeah.
and to run into them and still have that positive interaction when you run into them,
Mhm.
then you know you did the right thing
Yeah.
when they were younger.
And they
So,
remember. They
yeah,
remember.
they
They
remember.
remember. They remember you, and it's amazing. So, well, Greg, it has been a pleasure. I promised I'd get you out on time, so here's me keeping my promise. So, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for all the work that you've done with GCASE. It's an amazing organization, and I'm sure you're doing the same at RISA. And just keep it up. And when we're at another show, please make sure you come by and say hello.
I will definitely do that. I can't thank you enough for having us and also for having this platform to
Thanks.
bring information out around the country to people because I know there are people just like you said, you named off a list of states. There are
Yeah.
great people out there all over this country working to make sure that these kids get what they need.
Well, and enjoy. It's March 10th, and we still got half the semesters left. So enjoy the rest of 2026 and get a break this summer a little
All
bit. I know you won't get much of one, but
right. It's okay.
all right. Take care. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you. Bye bye.